What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here, Unsleeved Media, with an awesome alternative to Magic the Gathering. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know that I have covered games like Star Realms and Hero Realms in the past. If you're new to the channel, well, you're in for a treat. I've often endorsed this product. Not paid, not endorsed, or not paid advertising. I purchased it with my own money at this year's Gen Con, just like I purchased last year at last year's Gen Con. And I think the Star Realms and Hero Realms game series is one of the best ways to spend your money if you're looking to get off the trading card game treadmill. One of the biggest problems of competitive trading card game playing or even casual playing is it always seems like you're on this treadmill of $4 booster packs to build the deck that you want, or paying $20, $30, $40, or even $50 for a single card can make it really unappealing. So Star Realms has been around since like 2014, and it's a deck building game where you purchase resources and to basically destroy your opponent. It's multiple players, and now there's actually a new set out that came out at Gen Con. In fact, several new sets, which I want to go through. We have 1 to 4 players now in Star Realms Frontiers, and we also have Star Realms Command decks, which we'll go through, as well as I picked up a Scenarios pack. Basically, you purchase cards using, quote, trade points. Using these cards to attack your opponent's authority using your combat points. The game takes place in the distant future where different races compete to gain resources, trade, and outmaneuver each other in a race to become the ruler of the galaxy. And the other great thing about Star Realms is you can play it online. So you can play it on the go, you can play it on your PC, and it's just as affordable. So what are the various products I have here? So Frontiers was brand new. This you have... basically 1 to 4 players. You have 152 total cards with an 80 card trade deck, 8 oversized solo co-op challenge cards, and Star Realms core set or Colony Wars is made for additional. If you add an additional Star Realms core set or Colony Wars deck, you can add an additional 1 to 2 players, so up to 4 players. And then I picked up these command decks. All of these things alter the game. So you have different options. You have the Unity, the Pact, the Union, the Coalition, the Alignment, and the Alliance. All pretty dang close sounding. You can use these with any Star Realm set. You get a legendary commander card, which shows you your commander's hand size and starting authority. You get a custom 12-card starting deck, which includes new cards from your commander's 2 favored faction. You've got new scorecards, a mega ship for your trade deck. And again, each one of these on the back, as an example, you can play as Divine Admiral Lee. Hone your fleet to deadly perfection with the Stars Empire's martial prowess and Machine Cult's ruthless efficiency. Battle against another command deck, or play as a raid boss. So you can add that and play against raid bosses. Then you have scenarios as well. So this is another way to augment the game. Inside this, you've got 20 unique scenario cards that change how Star Realms is played. Shuffle the scenario cards, flip one over, use the rules listed for a new game experience. So this is kind of like in Magic the Gathering, we have like Arch Enemy or Plane Chase, things like that. This would be an augmented way to play the game. And again, these things are, I think, just double checking on the price. You got all of these for $36, so 6 each, and you get a huge expansion of the way you play. I'm assuming this was also $5 or $6 if I remember right. Either way, again, very cheap way to completely change your game. They also sold me on this gigantic storage box, which because I have the previous sets, I wanted to store it all in a nice box. So I got this. This was like $20 as well. So I should mention that each one of these are not standalone. They are expansions. So they change the way you play the game. They change necessarily maybe how involved you are in the game. Same thing with the scenario. So you're still going to need something like this, Star Realms Frontier. So let's take a look at what comes inside here. And I'll look at the way the cards kind of lay out. This game has won just about every award out there in the tabletop world. So you've got your how to play guide, basically, full color, nice. Then you've got your Colts jumping up. Colt, you gotta get down, bud. A little odd packaging, but it is what it is. And then you've got your 2 decks here. And that's it. Everything you need to play for $20. And that's why I still push these so hard. I mean, they're ready to play right out of the box. And you can expand them based on which factions you want. You've got the Blob faction, the Machine Cult faction, the Star Empire faction, Trade Federation. You've got Authority on each card. So you see the faction there. So generally when you're buying your resources, you want to try and use the synergies that go together. So you've got a Trade Federation card here and a Blob faction card there. Let's actually open it up. Card quality is very nice. I still highly recommend sleeving, just like any. So you see you've got your blobs all built together. You'd shuffle this, then your Machine Cult. Then you've got different stations. This is more Machine Cult stuff. Star Empire, and the last one should be Trade Federation, and it is. Again, this is not a how to play video. I highly suggest using their online version to learn how to play the game. Or you can, if you're more of a watch along tutorials kind of person, there are a few out there on the youtube.com's /tutorials. And then you've got these scenarios, which let's take a look. This is just a fun way to spice up the game. I'm trying to maintain the packaging a little bit so I can keep the cards in here on the set. That would be nice. And I failed. That's all right. And so you can see these are definitely different. You've got the blue border on them. Scenarios change the rules of Star Realms in exciting new ways. Before the game begins, shuffle the scenario deck and deal out a scenario card to determine the new rules for the game. If a scenario card says to perform an action before the game begins, do so. If it says to perform an action at the start of the game, do this after all players have drawn their starting hands. So let's take a look at one of these. And they'll go into your deck. Let's look at Frontier Expedition, if this is in play. Before the game begins, each player replaces 2 of the scouts in their personnel deck with explorers. Or at the beginning of each player's turn, that player draws a card. You've got some more complex ones, like picking sides. Before the game begins, the player going first chooses one of the 4 factions. They then select from the trade deck a card of that faction that costs 2 and add it to the personal deck. The player going second repeats this process, choosing 2 of the remaining factions. Finally, the player going first repeats the process for the remaining factions. So just all little fun ways to spice up the game. Some of them will have more impact than others. Bases go directly into play when acquired and are scrapped when destroyed. So you've got all sorts of, different degrees. Some hardcore players will write their own as well. Certainly, I think a fun thing to do. I remember doing that in Magic the Gathering for different Planes Chase cards. You can have basically fan-created Planes Chase cards, things like that. And then you have your command decks. These, again, are additional options to the base game that you would need. And your decks can just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's why that box is so big. Let's pull this out. So in here, we have scorecards. And I've already bent my commander. And then you have new cards to add to the game. Here's Admiral Lee. And you've got plain old Scout, Scout bots, things like that. But again, not a tutorial on how to play, just an option. If you play Magic the Gathering or other trading card games and you're sick of running on the treadmill, buying new cards, expensive cards all the time, these types of games, deck building games, living card games, are a great way to get off that treadmill and still have a fun game at any time. If you played these new expansions, let me know what you think. I just got my hands on them now. Going to add them to my deck, as well as put them inside this giant universal storage box, which probably will eventually not be big enough, but it will hold my entire Star Realms collections with or without sleeves, with spare room for future sets, and even a playmat. Use the included foam blocks to hold your cards firmly in place. I'll figure that out later. You'll see that appear on the set once I get that all handled. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed an alternative. We'll talk to you again real soon.